Musk-owned SpaceX successfully launched the ISRO's communication satellite GSAT-N2 from Florida. Now, the advanced communication satellite was launched using SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The Indian satellite aims to provide broadband services in remote areas and an in-flight internet in passenger aircrafts. Now, the GSAT-20 satellite, weighing 4,700 kgs, is too heavy for India's own rockets to carry, so SpaceX was chosen for the launch. Within days of troops resuming patrolling at Depsang and Demchok sectors near the LAC in eastern Ladakh, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is all set to have a discussion with his Chinese counterpart Admiral Dong Jun later this week to further enhance bilateral defence cooperation. The two ministers are likely to sit across the table in Laos PDR, where they will attend the ASEAN Defence Ministers Meeting, plus on November 2022, deliberating on regional and global security issues. Anmol Bishnoi, the fugitive brother of jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, was detained in the US. As per sources, the US authorities may first hand him over to the Canadian authorities in connection with the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and then Indian authorities may get his custody. Bishnoi is wanted in connection with several high-profile cases, including the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, Baba Siddiqui, and for the firing outside actor Salman Khan's Mumbai home in June this year. Prime Minister Modi met US President Biden during the G20 summit in Brazil. He had a farewell meeting with President Biden, capping 4 years of cooperation, who's completing his term in Jan, capping 4 years of cooperation. Sharing a photo of their meeting on his X account, Prime Minister Modi wrote, "Always a delight to meet." Prime Minister Modi held a bilateral meeting with the United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Brazil. As per the information, both leaders discussed a range of key issues, including technology, green energy, security and innovation, signaling strengthened ties between the two nations. Starmer also announced that trade talks with India would be relaunched in the new year. Prime Minister Modi held bilateral meetings with French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Brazil. Now, both the leaders discussed ways to keep working closely in sectors such as space, energy and AI. The Prime Minister also complimented the French President on France's successful hosting of the Olympic Games and the Paralympics in Paris earlier this year. Both leaders expressed mutual interest in enhancing cooperation in renewable energy, with a special emphasis on clean energy technology. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni praised India's growing global influence and the strategic partnership between Italy and India following her meeting with Prime Minister Modi in Brazil. The leaders announced a joint strategic action plan for 2025-29, focusing on collaboration in trade, investment, clean energy, space, exploration and defense. Apart from top leaders, Prime Minister Modi also met leaders of several countries, including those from Indonesia, Norway, Portugal, Brazil, Singapore and Spain on the sidelines of the summit, and discussed ways to improve ties. He also then met Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and discussed ways to improve ties in security, healthcare. Modi also met Portugal counterpart, and talks between the leaders focused on adding more vigor to the economic linkages between the two countries. Leaders of the group of 20 nations and their guests posed for a group photograph in Brazil's iconic Sugarloaf Mountain in the backdrop. Prime Minister Modi, Brazil's President Lula da Silva, China's President Xi Jinping and other leaders posed for the family photo at the 90th G20 Leaders Summit. The photo was taken after the launch of the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. Meanwhile, the US President and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni were left out of a group photo of the world leaders gathered at the G20 summit. Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau strolled up after photographers had already taken the official picture. Now, as per the official, the photograph was taken earlier than scheduled. The trio, who were in a trilateral meeting, arrived just as the leaders got off the stage set for the photograph. United Kingdom has announced measures against Iran for aiding Russia's war in Ukraine. The announcement comes as world prepares to mark 1,000 days since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, Britain's Foreign Secretary reiterated Britain's support for Ukraine ahead of a Security Council meeting. A rocket attack on the northern Israeli city injured several and killed one. Israeli medical officials say at least 10 people in central Israel have been wounded from Lebanon, where a missile was launched and it was intercepted. Israeli military said the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah launched more than 100 projectiles towards Israel. Over 3,500 people protested outside New Zealand's parliament in Wellington against a proposed law that seeks to redefine the country's founding agreement. The 1840 Treaty of Waitangi between the indigenous Maori and the British Crown. The treaty originally promised Maori tribes the right to retain their lands and protect their interests in exchange for ceding governance to the British. The new bill aims to establish clear definitions for the treaty's principle and extend those rights to all New Zealanders. Thrill seekers were left dangling in mid-air for nearly 3 hours at a popular California theme park after a ride malfunction, prompting a complex rescue operation. Approximately 20 people were on board during this, where it suddenly came to a halt, leaving many riders stuck in a horizontal position. A member of global K-pop sensation, Jin marked the release of first solo album Happy with a two-day fan showcase. 33-year-old artist who completed his mandatory military service earlier this year expressed his excitement about reconnecting with BTS fans. Take a look. Pululu's new action comedy series Interior Chinatown, starring Jimmy O. Wang as Willis Wu, will premiere today. Inspired by a Charles Yu's acclaimed novel, the series centers on Wu, a background character in the fictional police procedure.
I think that's called being a loser. Shut up, man.
Police are investigating a missing woman. The abduction may be related to reports of a gang war.
Whoa. Who?
The trailer of one of the most anticipated films of the year, Pushpa 2, The Rule is here. The makers dropped the 2 minutes long trailer, giving a sneak peek into the action-heavy world of Pushpa Raj as he gears up to obtain what is rightfully his. Now, Rashmika Mandana appears briefly as Srivalli, even as Fahad Fasil catches attention as the arch-nemesis who vows to catch Pushpa and stop his trade. Let's take a look.
श्रीवल्ली मेरी बाइको है। जब एक पति अपने बाइको की सुने तो क्या होता है, पूरी दुनिया को दिखाएगा।